Oh,
Greetings! We are the Group 2 researchers of 6A Adroitness, and today we are going to present the summary of our research paper, The Levels of Social Media Addiction of Senior High School Students of University of Cebu Main Campus. To start off, let us hear Ms. Yala May Romeo for our Chapter 1.
Good evening once again. Everyone is influenced by social media in one way or another. One look in the eye and you can tell whether he or she is influenced by social media. That is why we, the researchers, are interested about this issue, and we spent our time and effort into researching more about this issue. So to start with our chapter 1, the problem and its background. First off, our rationale. There is no denying that social media is an issue in this generation. Therefore, our rationale summarizes up to our core objective, which is to determine the levels of social media addiction of senior high school students in UC Rai campus. Next, we are going to our theoretical background. We have three theories on hand, and these are the theory of emotional intelligence, social cognitive theory, and triarchic theory of human intelligence. Going to our statement of the problem, which is to determine the level of social media addiction of University of Cebu senior high school students, which specifically tackles about what is the profile of the respondents and what is the level of social media addiction, and third is if there is a significance of social media addiction in the students. Next, we have our statement of hypothesis, and this resulted to a null hypothesis because we cannot see a difference between the levels of social media addiction between the males and the females. Next up, we have a scope and limitation. We have selected 30 respondents, 15 female students and 15 male students from our research PAL, University of Cebu Camp Pri, which is where we study at. And so we selected the respondents via stratified sampling. That happened because we selected them dividing the population by gender. Next, we have the significance, which would you pause ang recording? The following students, the parents, the teachers, and for the future researchers. And lastly, we have the definition of terms to be read by Mr. Scott Rodriguez.
So we're going to definition of terms. So social media addiction is a behavioral addiction that is defined by being overly concerned about social media, driven by an uncontrollable urge to log in into or use the social media and devoting so much time and effort to social media that impairs other important like areas. So the next is social media. These are the platform that enable to the interact with balik sabi.
Ang ilhan na lang guys, ay kanang ka.
So the next is social media. These are the platform that enable the interact web. They do so by engaging user to participate in, comment on, create content as means of communicating with their social group. So the next is internet. Internet, a global computer network providing a variety of information and communication facilities, consisting of interconnected networks using standardized communication protocol. So the last is technology. Technology is a body of knowledge devoted to creating tools, processing, action, and the extracting of materials. Mana, mawa ka na?
And the next part is Chapter 2, Related Literature. Social media is defined as a 2.0 powered databases that provide either individual or institutionally to identify themselves and provide a substructure for others to comment. Social media has become a new way of life for people. because of the convenience that allows them to communicate at any time. Social media has many different functions, such as letting them know your daily living through posting pictures on different platforms. People can easily interact with each other through social media.
In related studies, internet addiction was defined as psychological illness by Ivan Goldberg. Social media addiction have symptoms that can be noticed. Social media has negative impact on physical and mental health of the people who is using social media. In regard, signs and symptoms of addiction to social networking can include experiencing disturbances in day-to-day work and activities.
After Chapter 2 is Chapter 3, the research methodology. The study utilized the descriptive comparative research design to determine the level of social media addiction of the 30 research key respondents, the senior high school students, who are then divided into two groups, 15 male and 15 female respondents, to allow the researchers to compare and contrast the sample of male and female groups among the grade 12 students from different strands. This study was conducted within the premises of UC Main campus located at Zadchanco Street, Cebu City, and in the first semester of the academic year 2020-2021. The first section of the survey test asked for the demographic profile of the respondents, which includes the email address, strand, age, and gender. And the second section contained the media and technology usage and attitude scale, or M2S, a 10-item scale with a 10-point Likert scale, never to always, which assessed how constant the respondent uses media and technology.
The researchers prepared a transmittal letter addressed to the advisor for permission to conduct research and start gathering the needed data for research. This research used a standardized questionnaire created through Google Forms for easier dissemination of the research questionnaire. The respondents were given a consent from prior to answer the test, and in analyzing the gathered data, they used the statistical treatment of frequency, count, and percent distribution to describe the respondents' profile in terms of gender, mean and standard deviation to measure the level of social media addiction, independent t-tests to indicate the difference in the levels of social media addiction between male and female grade 12 students from different strands.
So in our chapter 4, it tackles about the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data. And this section presents the results and discussion of our collected data from the primary sources, in which we provided tables where in the first table, it showed the equal number of respondents in both male and female groups. And in the second table, it showed the level of social media addiction of the male, which...
Go.
And in the second table, it showed the level of social media addiction of the male group, which showed an above average mean score, and in the third table within the female section. Lastly, in the fourth table, it analyzed the data.
Go.
Lastly, in the fourth table, it analyzed the data from both groups to observe if there were any differences or not. Therefore, the data collected from the previous tables contributed to the acceptance of the null hypothesis of the research paper, that there were no differences in the level of social media addiction between both groups, male and female, on senior high school students. Next will be the chapter 5, which will discuss the summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations.
So now we are here in chapter 5, which is summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendation. First, we have gender frequency of respondents. The findings show that the respondents were classified into two groups, which are male and female. There are 15 male respondents and also 15 female respondents. So the total number is 30 respondents. Next, we have level of social media addiction. The level of social media addiction among the male respondents showed that the male are higher than the normal level of social media addiction. The last one is gender differences in the level of social media addiction. The findings showed that the data collected from both groups indicate no differences in mean scores, and standard deviation, and that gender differences does not affect the level of social media addiction between both groups. So the next is conclusion.
Based on the studies, Based on the study's findings, there is significantly no difference in the level of social media addiction between the two groups, male and female senior high school students of University of Cebu main campus. In Table 4, it proves that there is no significant difference in the level of social media addiction. For the recommendations, first, students should be more aware of the use and impact of using social media, and they should be more responsible in managing how the time they spend using social media, since it may have a negative or positive impacts and effects depending on the purpose and use of social media. Second is parents. For the parents, they should be more aware on the concerns regarding the students of use of social media addiction and learn how to properly monitor the time spent on social media. For the third, specialists from various medical or specialized fields can benefit through its experience and use. It guides them in their professional work regarding addictions, especially social media addiction. Fourth, for future researchers, they can use this study for serve as resource material, as a reference, and also use this paper to add or further study topic for their own research.
And that is our research paper is all about.
This is Yella May Romeo. And this is Yella May Romeo.
And this is Scott J. Rodriguez.
And Cluster R. Villamore.
I am Dimple Diane Millones.
I am Shanna Rose V. Pardo.
I am Joshua Gabriel Lawas.
And I am Monique Manayan.
Iralisita Hugan.
Handsome Seniza.
Go. And we are
we
the
are
Group
the-
2
We are the
researchers.
Group 2 researchers.
Go.
And we are the Group 2 researchers of UM 6A Adroitness. God bless and thank you.